whether it's a government department, a professional body, or a bank, a commercial institution, or other professions, anybody in fact who controls data, everybody will be aware of the Data Protection Act and the requirements of the GDPR, which are a response, of course, to repeated concerns about hacking incidents and insecurity of personal data kept by anyone who's a data controller. And there are two products which Testenium is introducing to the market. One of them is the searchable encryption. Now, Dr. Arasalanga will explain it. At its simplest, it's this. If you are working in your organization on a computer, you have plain data on your screen. That plain data is easily available to be hacked by outsiders if they're so inclined. Now, you may think that when you save it, it's encrypted, as indeed it is, and you can save it encrypted, and you can bring it back from encryption and decrypt it when you want to start working again. But of course, when you do that, in that period, when the plain data is being worked on, that is when hacking takes place. And we believe that a large number of the major hacking incidents which come to our attention on a weekly or even daily basis would be prevented by using our product for searchable encryption, which means that you can work upon the plain data on your screen and see it, but it remains encrypted at the same time. So many hacking incidents take place through human error because people are careless with leaving their computers on. Airbus, Today, Travelex, just before Christmas, the Labour Party, we believe that those organisations, had they used this product, would have been immune from those hacking incidents. And that, we think, is the value of our product. And in fact, we are marketing this now around the world. We have 2 government-organised conferences in the near future, one in Sri Lanka and one in Malaysia. We are also introducing this one by one to individual customers in my chambers, in Great James Street Chambers, and other local venues. And this week we are starting to present individually to a number of legal institutions on a one-to-one basis. The second product is the online test automation platform. And again, at its simplest, if you design a website, you have to send it to testers who will test it and incur you a lot of cost and time. This product, for the most innovative online test automation platform 2019, that award was given by the US Business News after a year's worth of research, and they described it as a revolutionary product, which means that large hundreds, thousands of people testing websites at present will no longer be needed because this will do it automatically. The encryption product has very recently been awarded an award in this jurisdiction for the best encryption and data protection product in the United Kingdom. So that is the importance, we think, of our product. That is what we are marketing. And so can I, without further ado, ask Dr. Arasalanga to give his presentation this evening online, so that it can be viewed both here and by those watching online. Thank you.
Good evening, thank you for coming. I'm Dr. Arasalanga, I'm the CEO of Testenium. I have developed this product since 2012, so it took 7 years to complete. And this product has 2 sections, or two parts. One is the test automation platform, which tests the web applications and Windows applications online without the programmers writing the code. So the platform will generate the code and executes the test and produces the reports. The second part is encryption platform, which generate the code for creating database applications, which is searchable encrypted database applications. That means we don't need to employ programmers to write the code for encrypted database application, which is searchable. So these are the two main modules. So I'll go through the slides here. So the Testenium meta computing platform is to handle all these listed options. So before I go through one by one, I have to explain what is meta computing platform. So there are computing platforms in the world. There are many computing platforms in the world developed by many big giants like Microsoft, Oracle, IBM, and so on. So all those platforms is to support the programmers to develop their applications and run it. So the companies employ a lot of programmers to sit and write the applications, and then they run the applications on the platform so that the end users can use those applications online or in-house if the application is installed on the server in-house. So the difference between that platform and meta computing platform is the meta computing platform where we don't have to sit and write the code. The computer platform will generate the code for the application, and which will be run by the platform to produce the results. So that is the difference. So the first computing platforms, normal platforms are computing platforms where the programmers sit and write the code, where the meta computing platform which writes the code instead of the programmers writing the code. Clear? Clear. So now the Testenium handles application security testing. So whenever the companies launch applications, they have to, before launching the applications, they need to test it to check whether it is 100% error free. So there are various tools available in the industry to do that, but you have to do a lot of work on your machine to do that, like setting up the projects and setting some parameters and connecting to the platform and testing. But when you use Testenium, you don't have to do all this preparation. So it's just matter of providing the URL of the application. So the Testenium platform will handle everything automatic. And then there's another Whitebox Testing. This is a very well-known testing framework available in the industry. So this will analyze the programming code and give you the report whether the program parts are having some errors or weakness in the code and things like that. That's called Whitebox testing. And then UI testing, like whenever you produce a user interface for applications, you need to test the elements and functions attached to that particular user interface. And then functional testing, like for example, if you developed a login function on a website, so we need to check that whether it is functioning properly or not. So that is the functional test. That's an example of functional testing. Then unit testing, this is a traditional testing framework which is available since 40 years back. This is for again testing some functions or end results to make sure that the result is produced perfectly or not. And then very popular Selenium testing. Selenium testing is the most popular testing framework available, or Selenium is the most popular framework available for testing web applications. So once you develop a web application, you have to first test it before you launch it. So Selenium will provide a lot of various functionalities to do that. So I'll go through that a bit later on. So that is very popular in the industry. So this was introduced like 15 years back. Whenever this was introduced in 2009, we started training a lot of customers in our institution. And then I started writing the test automation platform using the Selenium. And like Selenium, there's a Vinium. Vinium is for Windows testing, Windows application testing. And companies still develop Windows applications. And in order to launch the Windows application, we have to test it. So the Testenium platform will allow you to upload your Windows application exe file, which is the executable file, and then the user will provide some parameters, some metadata. Then the platform will use those metadata to test the Windows applications. And then BDD, behavior driven development. So this is fairly new compared to Selenium. So behavior driven development will allow you to provide your test parameters and some test requirements in plain English, in a particular syntax called working syntax, which is given, when, and then. Given a situation, when you perform something, then you get your results. So we can even verify the results using the TDD functions, like your unit testing functions. Then securing databases. Like there are a lot of companies having plain data in databases. I can say more than 95% of the companies still hold plain data in databases. So those plain data can be hacked by any hackers. So in order to avoid that hacking, we had to secure your data by encrypting the data. So we have a module to encrypt the whole database, or table by table. Database consists of many tables, so we can choose an option to select one table to encrypt, or we can tell the platform to encrypt the whole database. And then the last one, creating 100% secure database applications. Like there are various ways you can encrypt your data. The traditional or the conventional way of doing it by using some encryption schemes like AES and so on. So when you use the conventional encryption schemes, you cannot process the encrypted data. So in order to process your data, you have to decrypt your encrypted data. So that needs some time and work. So in order to avoid that, there's a new scheme available called searchable encryption scheme, or homomorphic encryption scheme. So which allows you to process the data while it is encrypted. So that is a specialty of searchable encryption. So these are the topics the Testenium metacomputing platform handles. Now before I just start the demo on the live product, I'm going to go through and explain each and every option. So now Testenium is a metacomputing platform which generates programming language code for encrypted database applications and test automation. So for both tasks, it generates the code so that we don't need programmers to sit and write the code. So when a data model is uploaded in Excel or in Tamil language, Tamil stands for Testenium Application Modeling and Interface Language. So this is a metaprogramming language. A metaprogramming language is a programming language which generates another programming language. So in fact, the Tamil programming language is going to be sitting on the top, and this can allow the users to create various different programming languages. They are high-level programming languages. So suppose if you are familiar with Java programming language, so you can choose the option to create Java programming code. Like that, Testenium is going to introduce other languages such as C#, Python, Ruby, and so on. So whenever you want to provide the test parameters or metadata about your testing. So you can put your test parameters like elements, locators, functions, and the test data in Excel sheet. For each page, you can define those parameters and put it into one Excel sheet. So if you have 5 pages in your application, you have to put 5 sheets in one Excel file. Then you can upload that Excel file. Then you can ask Testenium platform to generate the code for those 5 pages to test it. So it will generate the test code using page object model. Page object model is a well-known architecture or framework available for Selenium testers. So you can use the page object model if you have more than 1 page in your testing. So it will generate the code for page object model with Selenium framework, and then you can ask Testenium to test it. It will execute the test and produce the results. The results include videos, screenshots, and reports. So you don't have to sit and write any code for creating videos or screenshots or any report. So Testenium will handle them. First of all, the application security testing, I explained it earlier before. So here I'm using a tool called Arachne. Arachne is OWASP standard tool. So OWASP is some framework available for testers to check the application security of the applications. So the Arachne follows those kind of standards. So Testenium is using that in the background to test the application security and provide the results. So I'm not going to show how to test it because it's going to take a lot of time to scan through all the functions and features of your applications. It will take depends on the size of your application, it will take some more time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you previously run results so that you'll be able to see how it looked like. So that's the second part of the testing. So Testenium provides more than 90% coverage of application security testing based on OWASP standard. So when I show the live demo, you can see them. And this is one of the report it produces. And this is a text-based report. And this is another list of options where it shows what are the failures and what are the successes and so on. So we'll see them later on in live. Then Selenium test automation. At present, I have provided 2 programming languages. One is C# and the other one is Java. So whenever you choose one of the languages, it will generate the code for that particular language. We'll see that in live later. So this is the screen where you can see programming language code. And the reports, whenever it executes the test, it produces video and takes all the screenshots and text reports and so on. So this is the screen to do that. This is the part of the report screen. And also, Testenium has a dashboard where it compares the 2 different run or builds. So whenever you do the test first time, that's the first build. And if you edit something and run it again, that's the second build. So Testenium compares both builds and shows what are the differences. For example, you can see the first row here for this particular project. So we have the first run with some 25% error, and when you correct it and run it, it shows 100% correct. So like that, it shows what are the percentage of the errors it occurred. Then Testenium also introduced a new concept called accelerated massive parallel testing. So normally, when you handle one test project on a desktop machine or laptops, you can run only one test at a time. So if you have 5 test projects, you have to do one by one. And here, Testenium platform allows you to choose number of test projects. You can tick. You can see that there are ticks here in the green circle. So here, what Testenium does is select all the test cases ticked and execute them in parallel in the platform, so that you don't have to waste time waiting to finish one by one. So it runs all the test projects in parallel. So this is a brand new unique concept I introduced to the world. So if you have say for example 10,000 users in Testenium, if each user has multiple test projects they want to run, all of the users can run multiple test cases at the same time. So you can imagine how much of time it can save. Then behavior-driven development, BDD. So this is where we'll be typing your test requirements and the test parameters in plain English with working syntax given, when, and then. So we don't have to write very highly syntax programming language code. So whenever we provide the plain English sentences, Testenium will convert that into programming language code, whichever the language that you choose. And then it will execute and give you the results. So this is a screen where it shows the programming language codes have been created. And when it executes the test, it produces the results. So this is one of the standard results produced by BDD. And also it shows the screenshots below. So BDD is a behavior-driven development. So whenever some test engineers handle the previous test frameworks like TDD, they encountered a lot of problems, like how much of tests or unit tests they want to handle in a project, or where to start and where to finish. So they had a lot of problems. That's why they invented the BDD. The BDD was invented by Mr. Dan North in 2003, but it is used very recently, not from 2003. Then Whitebox Testing. I explained briefly. I will show you how it works later on. And one of the report shows like this. It says here some percentage of pass and some percentage of failure. And another part of the report shows where are the problems in the code. When they write the code and test it, it shows where the code has some weaknesses or failures. And here it shows some error messages for some functions. If you have, say, 4 functions written by programmers, so if one of the functions is failed when it runs, so it shows that. And the next screen shows here 3 functions were successful, so like that. So I will show that on a live demo as well. Then Windows application testing. So on the left hand side of the window here, there are few test projects run previously under my account. Like that, every user will have their own previous test cases. Whether they pass or fail, it will show with red or green colors. On the right hand side, we have to upload the exe file and the test parameters on Excel. So I will show that on live demo. And when it is run, then it creates the programming language code for testing it. Then it will test it when we click the button and get the reports. Then database online. Another good feature that we have in Testenium is to work with databases online. That means you don't have to install databases on your machine. So Testenium provides online databases. So whatever the functions that you normally perform on a database on your desktop machines can be performed online without you purchasing and installing any databases. So So that's one of the reports that it produces when you search for some data on the tables. Then we come to encryption. So this is one of the biggest features we have in Testenium. So in the industry, we have traditional encryption schemes like AES, advanced encryption scheme, something like that. So which we can use to encrypt the data, but we can't process the data while it's encrypted. So here, so we are going to see how we can use searchable encryption to encrypt and process the data while it's encrypted. I'll show that in a demo, live demo. Now here you can see the screen where I generated some programming language code, which is to handle database applications or database functionalities like inserting data, deleting data, updating data, searching for data, and things like that. That is called CRUD architecture, C-R-U-D architecture, create, read, update, and delete architecture. So Testenium will generate the code based on those four functionalities. So we don't have to write the code for those functionalities. Like this is a huge feature, unique feature available in the world. There's no platform or any tool generates code for that particular functionality with searchable encryption embedded. That means whenever it creates that particular code for creating an application, so to run an application, it also handles the encryption part. It encrypts the data and process the data while it's encrypted, and then decrypt it when it comes to the screen so that the user can see that data. So this is a sample screen where you'll see the application running without me writing the code. And as Mr. Alan Jones mentioned to you, Testenium has been awarded by US Business News as the most innovative online test automation platform, and also they rated the Testenium Limited as the best e-commerce software testing experts 2019. So, as I mentioned, a few inventions in Testenium like accelerated massive parallel testing and the code generation. So the US Business News recognized them as most innovations. And recently, Corporate Lifeware UK has recognized Testenium as encryption and data protection experts of the year 2020 of UK. That's the brief of Testenium. Now I'm going to start live demo, so you'll be able to see how Testenium works. So we got two domain names. One is testenium.co.uk. That is the website links to the application. And the other one is testenium.com. That is for marketing purpose only. So in testenium.co.uk you can see the options encryption, testing, service, pricing, architecture, training, about us, and so on. So the main options are encryption and testing. Now I'm logged into Testenium, to my account. So here there are various testing options and encryption. So I'm going to start with the encryption first. So in order to create a database applications, we have to provide the database connectivity parameters It's normally called as connection string. So the connection string has four parts. One is the server name or local host. If you're running your database on the same machine, we simply say local host, and with a port number. A port number is unique for some software running on your machine, so you can link both together. And then the database name. So when you have number of tables, those tables can sit in a database together. So that's the database world I am providing. And the username root. So in my database, I have created a user called root. And then the password. So if the programmers are writing the code, they will be embedding these 4 parameters in the code. But now Testenium is going to embed them in the code. And then, so here we have an option to upload Excel file. So I mentioned earlier, there are 2 ways we can provide the parameters to Testenium. One is using the Excel file, the other one is using Tamil language. So first I'm going to show you the Excel file. I'm going to upload one Excel file which consists of some parameters for each and every tables, database tables. I will show you one simple application for hospitals to maintain patients' records and treatment records and so on. So I'm uploading hospital.xls, and before I run that, I'll also show you that file physically on your machine here. For every database table, we have to put the parameters in each sheets in the Excel file. Now we have 3 tables, and one is called patients records, and doctors. Suppose a hospital or a doctor want to maintain their patient's record and the treatment records and so on. So we define the tables like that. The patient's table consists of number of fields: patient ID, hospital number, NHS number, and so on. Then patient's records consist of NHS number and updated date and so on. So the NHS number is the key to link the 2 tables. So in the first table, patient's table, there will be a unique record for each patient. In the patient's records table, there will be a multiple records for one patient. So whenever you want to search for one particular NHS number, you will link both tables and bring the records. Okay? For that purpose, we are giving some parameters here. So you can see NHS number. This is linked to the patient's table, and it can be searched on NHS number column. And also we have doctor's details. Now I'm going to upload this Excel file and create application code. So this is the biggest innovation. Now, within a second, not even a second, within a few milliseconds, it generated the code, one for creating the main menu of the application. So you can see it is automatically created. So whenever you provide different tables, this file will be different. Suppose you want to write this number of lines, you need few hours, but here a few milliseconds. And the second code here is for the patient's table. Suppose you want to add patient's record or modify or search, we need to write this particular code. So it created that code with encryption code embedded. So we don't have to write that. Likewise, the patient's records again. So if you have 25 or 50 tables defined in the Excel sheets, 20 or 50 Excel sheets, just upload it and click. So it generates the code for all the tables within few milliseconds. Now, if you just compare the time that the world is spending on this particular task, there are many companies, they are setting up offshore, companies in India or everywhere, and they are putting a lot of programmers and sitting and writing the code. Everybody knows that, right? Now, here we just define the parameters and upload and click a button. You are getting the entire code, and you don't have to modify anything. You just run it. I will show you. Suppose you want to modify to change the style of the windows or whatever, you can do that. That's why I'm allowing them to see the code. Otherwise, we can provide the executable file without showing the code. We can just click and run it. But here, we are giving the code for them to modify as they want and run it. Now I'm going to show you how to run this one. So normally, a developer will have a tool like Eclipse where they can create the projects and run it. So I'm going to show how they do it. So here, you can go to the file, new Java projects and so on. You can create a project and then you have to write the code. But here, you don't have to write the code. I'm going to just show you how it does. So here, we have various projects, and this is the one I have created for that particular project that we have seen previously. So now, in this project here you can see main menu, which I shown you earlier. So this is the same code I have shown earlier. I just copied and pasted here to save some time. And patient's records, same code I shown earlier. And patients. So now, then doctors. Then we can run it, just right click here, run as Java application. This is I am showing for programmers so that they will understand more. Okay? But if someone is a non-programmer, you don't have to go through this. We can just click a executable version of that. So I am just showing everything so that they can modify and do it and run it. Okay? So now it's running. So you can see patients record, and doctors. So all the three tables have been used to create these menus. Now you can go to patients and add menu. So here I just provided a very minimum feature of updating the database tables or searching for records in a database table. But this can be enhanced and make it much more professional way of doing it. This is not the actual final version of the platform to sell it. This is a minimum version to save some time on the demo. So if I want to have a very big application, then it will take 2 hours, 3 hours to go through all the options. So I'm not doing that to save some time. Now, the actual features of this particular application is to add data to your record, your database record. You can just type all the data and save them. It will do it. Now I'm going to show you the big feature here to see how the encryption and decryption works on this particular option. So select star from patients. So we have a patients table already in the database as well as in our code. We've seen that. So select star from patients. This is a bit more technical than usual usage of the application. So why I am showing like this, the programmers can easily understand the benefit of this. That's why I put this one. So select star from patients, that means select all the columns from the patients table. So we've seen a lot of columns from the patients table earlier. And where, that is for the searching, is a criteria to search, where NHS number, I'm going to put one particular number which I already have it in the database table, 2222. So now, in patients table, we have one record with NHS number 2222. In patients records table, we have many records for that particular number. So now, when we click the process, it's going to get the data from both tables and show you. First time, the encryption application will be a bit slow. Thereafter, it will be faster. Now, you can see on the right hand side, there are three tables listed. The first table on the top is how the data is held in the database. That means the data is encrypted. The third column is NHS number. So here you can see some funny characters, which is the encrypted version of NHS number. That's the column name. So the column name also encrypted. And then you can see the data below. So that is the 2222. So instead of 2222, you are seeing a lot of numbers or digits. So you can't figure it out what it is, isn't it? Yeah. So this is how the data is held in the database, and that is how it is coming to the front end as well. So while it is searched and traveling, it is encrypted. So there's no hacker can hack it. Right? Now, that particular record is decrypted when it comes to the front end. So you can see the third column is NHS number and the data is 2222. Right? So this is seen only by the user on the screen, unless there's somebody behind you to see. Then the third table here is the matching records in the details table, which is the patient's records table. So in many database applications, whether it's a government department or banks or any other hospitals, so they keep master details tables. I think you'll understand that. So we have a patient's table to keep the unique record for one particular patient, and patient's records table to keep the multiple records. So here we have 2222 few records, like 5 records for that particular patient. So every time they do something with that patient, they add a record. So that is, growing here in this. So this particular part, like whatever I just explained, so one-to-many relationship, that is the majority of the functionalities they do in all the database applications. So they enter the data. When they enter the data, it's going into one table first, and when they update to the second table, it's going to that particular table. Then it's linking it. So the linking is a task that we have to do in programming. So Testenium does that automatically. So we don't have to write those kind of functions. Like that in database, there are so many different functions they normally perform or they normally develop by writing the code. But here, all those functions are automatically created by Testenium. So this is a very big feature. So I can challenge with any giants of IT companies in the world. They haven't done it. I search everywhere. And in my view, they can't do it. I'm telling this since I started developing these kind of features like a few years ago. And even one university in Malaysia challenged with me. Once they seen the product, they said we can develop within 3 months. Now almost 6 years since they challenged, they haven't done it. And I can challenge with any giants IT companies. It's difficult to do very soon, in 1 or 2 years. So this is the biggest task I can say in Testenium. So it generates the code and embed the encryption part, which is searchable encryption, which is new, so that no hacker can hack the data. Now I'm going to move on to Tamil language. So TAML stands for Testenium Application Modeling and Interface Language. So this is a meta-programming language. That means this will create a program which we don't have to do ourselves. So if we go to encryption, I just add the TAML under the encryption. So if suppose you don't have a computer, you want to create application using an iPhone or iPad, you can do that. So Testenium is the only platform allows you to do that in the world. So there's no other platform where you can use iPad or iPhone to create application within a second. So if you go to TAML, again you provide the parameters for the database connection string and give the same parameters. Then, instead of uploading the Excel file, we can write with minimum lines of code in Tamil language, which is going to be executed by Testenium meta-computing platform and generates the programming language code in Java. Like that, we are adding C#, Python, Ruby, etc. So now Java is completely done. In the world, Java is the major language that everybody uses as the biggest, the majority of the companies use Java. Now, so here I will explain briefly. So title, we can provide the title colon payroll system in order to develop a payroll system. So like that, if you have a different application, you can put the appropriate title with semicolon at the end. So title colon within the inverted comma payroll system, then end with a semicolon. Many programming languages ends with semicolon, or every line in the many programming languages end with semicolon. So that's the meaning of, that's the end of that line. So I use a similar syntax, but there are different syntaxes in overall. Now, table, earlier we seen 3 tables for the hospital applications. Like that here, we have 2 tables for the payroll system. So the first table, table employee, then we have to list all the columns. Earlier in Excel, we seen the column on the left-hand side, top to bottom, isn't it? Few columns, and then the parameters for each column. So here, for each column, table, we list all the columns here on the right-hand side with comma separated and so on. So you can see record ID, int not null. If you say exclamation mark null, that means not null, comma primary key, that's going to be unique. Say in patient's table, NHS number was unique. Like that, here we have to say it is a primary key, that's unique. Auto increment, so you can tell the database to create the number automatically, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then no here, that means I will show you in the second table here, no, instead of that no, here we have employee and ID. So in our previous Excel table, I was explaining the NHS number was in both tables to link them, one-to-many relationship. Like that here, so in the second table, I have employee and ID to link to the first table. So in the first table, we don't need that. That's why we put no. In the second table, we have the employee table, which is reference to the first table, right? Like that, you list all the columns with all the respective parameters, like what I explained now. And then at the end, ampersand sign here, then functions. Suppose you want to have some functions in your database, like inserting, updating, selecting, you can list them here. So when you list them, the Testenium will use those keyword to create those functions automatically. So we have 2 tables here, employee and the salaries. For one employee, many salaries. Like every month we have salaries, one to many. And then the reports an admin, so we can also specify some special report you want to create, payrolls, pay slips and so on. We can define them, it will create it automatically. So now, this is an example of Tamil language code for one particular application, payroll. Like that, if you have 50 tables, you just list all these tables like that. So we have 2 examples here, right? Then, we click the button, create application code. So now, within few milliseconds, I don't know whether 1 or 2 milliseconds, depends on your internet performance, or it may be the time differ. Now we created the code for the main menu, and for those 2 tables. Then we run it in the tool, Eclipse tool. So here you can see employee and salaries and the main menu. So I already copied rather than just going copy. Same code, you can, if you want I can email you if you want to analyze the code whether it's the same or not. Now we'll run it. It's running it. You can insert data if you want to insert data. I already have some records. Select star from employees. ID is the column where we are linking. You see in employee ID, instead of no in the second one, that's a link. So we are putting the ID, employee and ID. I put 1 here. It's doing it. Same way as we did earlier. There are 2 different test cases, case studies we done now. So the first one has encrypted data. And this is the record number. I am not encrypting it. We are not using that. That's the auto increment. The first table has an auto increment parameter for the first column. So that is the one. Record ID. I don't deal with that. So this is the ID. I capital, D small. Here is encrypted. The field names and the table names are encrypted using the AES encryption scheme. So we don't have to use searchable encryption because we are not searching on them, we are searching the data. So for that only we are using the homomorphic encryption, searchable encryption. Second part here. Okay. And employee record, and then the salary records for 2 months. So like that, we can create any type of database applications. Any type means like a hospital or bank or whatever. And then we can modify the interface to make it more fancy and things like that. That's a bit of work. They can do it if they want. But the system I shown now is not the one I'm going to deliver it to the customers. I'm still enhancing. I have a bit of work to do. Maybe 2-3 days we'll have a complete system to deliver to the customer. But this is a demo version I'm showing. Now I will show you testing using Selenium. I'm not going to go through all of them, I explained, but I'm showing the most innovative part. Now, on the left hand side here in Selenium test automation, we have past test cases under my account. Like that, every user will have their own test cases on their table here. If they log in, they will see their table. If I log in, I will see my tables. So I have 2030 projects created under Selenium in my account. So here you can see title, description, report. When you click the report, it will show the report, and you can edit and run again, and the result pass or fail. If it's failure, then red cross. Then build time, when it was executed, and then AMPT, accelerated massive parallel testing. So when you click this button, you will start testing all my 2030 test cases at the same time in the platform. I'm not going to do that, it's going to take a lot of time. Now, if you click few of them and click the button, then it will start testing all these three. I will show that bit later on. So now, I will show the right hand side part here. On the right hand side, we have a new project template. So where we have to provide some parameters, project title, description and so on. Then you can choose the language where it's going to create the code on. So like C# and Java, I have done Python, Ruby and PHP as well. But in the full version when we deliver it will be there, but this is a demo. So C# and Java, they are the two major programming languages in the industry. And NUnit with C#. NUnit is a testing framework. And JUnit is another testing framework. So JUnit is for Java, NUnit is for C#. So when you say testing framework, whenever you want to test an application, you have to write some code to automate that testing, and where you have to use some NUnit or JUnit functions to verify the end results, to make sure that the end result is the correct result or the wrong result. And in Selenium, we use WebDriver or remote WebDriver. WebDriver is to execute straight away on the machine, same machine. Remote WebDriver is to execute your test on a remote machine. So that is using some Selenium grid architecture. So I don't want to go to very detailed on that. Then the browser, we can choose which browser is going to test the application on. Because of this web testing tool, so Selenium is a web testing framework and tool, so it's going to be running on the browser. So we have to choose which browser we need to execute the test on. So I'm choosing the Chrome and the database. I mentioned that earlier, Testenium provides you databases to put your test data. So if you have your test data already in the database, you can choose that database, whether it's SQL Server or Oracle. So I'm not choosing them because I'm going to put the data on Excel. And then page object model, I explained briefly earlier. Page object model is to handle more than one page in a application. So we'll choose yes for handling more than one page, multiple pages. And then scheduling. Suppose you want to run your test automatically every day at a particular time, you can schedule it and put in a midnight 00, so that all my projects will be, if all of them are on that time, it will run at the same time. Or whatever the time you put, it will just invoke the test automatically and test it. Then the URL for testing, because this is a web application, you have to have a URL. So I'm going to show you one URL which I'm going to test it, which is called cworm.co.uk. So this is a newly developed website for one of our other companies. Yeah. About us page, products and services, contact and wish list. So when you go to About Us, you'll see there's a Contact Us button here. So when you click that, you'll see the form. Then we need to fill the form. So normally, like if we are not automating, some user has to do that. So in order to do that, we need to know the data and the elements and so on. So which we are going to put it on Excel sheet. So like that, for every other links, we have to put the data in the Excel sheet. I will show you the data in the Excel sheet here. So for testing 4 pages on that particular URL, we have to put these kind of information: locator, element, command, and data. The test engineers will know this. So locator is to locate one particular element in that page. And the element itself, we have to put the element. Then the command, whether we are going to click or type. and then the data. So if you're typing, then the data. So these are the parameters that we have to provide in Excel sheet for each page in every sheet. Now I'm going to upload this Excel sheet here. First I'll put the URL name cworm.co.uk. Then I'm going to upload that Excel sheet or Excel file. So now I'm uploading the cworm_core.uk.xls, that's the XLS file. Now we'll click the generate code button to generate the code. Now the code is generated within a few milliseconds. So now we have 4 pages and 4 sheets in the Excel file. So here it created 1 file for the first one, which is for the single page. But if you tick the yes for the multiple pages or page object model, it is going to create 6 pages of code. Choose the Java language. So for Java, it's going to create 6 set of code for the cworm.co.uk URL based on the parameters available in the cworm_core.uk.xls. Now we'll generate the code. Now 6 pages the codes for 6 pages have been created. The first one is for the home page. So whenever you link many test codes in one test project, you need to start with the home page. Then from the home page, you'll be going to other pages one by one. So in order to go to the first link in the home page, which is the contact us or about us, whatever. So here you can see one link which is available in the Excel sheet, first sheet, and this is available in the second sheet and third and fourth, something like that. So it's linking all the 4 pages and then the necessary code below. So like that, for the page 1 and page 2 and so on. So normally the test engineers sit and write the code, what we are seeing here. So this takes some time. Now here it generated the codes within a few milliseconds. Now we'll be able to run it on the platform. So before I click the run button, I'm going to show you the platform so that we'll be able to see what is happening in the platform. So now I'm connecting to Google Cloud Platform where those test codes are going to be executed. And we can see that in the cloud. Now I'm connected to the cloud. So we are on the cloud now. If I start running the test, you will see the Chrome will be launched in the cloud. Okay, so I'm clicking the run button now, and I'm now switching to the cloud. You'll be able to see Chrome launching. Now the Chrome is launching. It's typing the cworm.co.uk URL, and it's going to click the About Us link now. Yeah. And it's going to click the Contact Us button below. And it's going to type the data that you have in the Excel. While it's doing it, it's also capturing the screenshots automatically and taking the video. Then it's going to provide those links in the main page so that you can click and see them. Now the test has been completed. Now it's getting the reports on the screen, so it's taking a bit more time to get it. It's loading it. Now you can see this is the test. It was executed and it's okay. One test pass, and the video you can click and download and watch the video. I will do that now. The video is downloading. Double click the video link. Now it's going to show you the about us. Yeah, I made it a bit faster here. I can control the speed, I can make slow and so on. And also the screenshots. If there's any error, it will show the error here so that you can click that link to see what the error is. So that is the Selenium testing. I will show you the multiple test cases. Suppose you want to run 2 or 3 test cases in parallel, we'll click them and then click the AMPT button, Accelerated Massive Parallel Testing. Now the platform is going to launch 3 test cases in parallel. Yeah, now 3 test cases are running. You can see in the bottom 3 Chrome windows are running. So if I click the AMPT button without ticking those boxes, it will run all the 2032 projects at the same time. So we have a scalable machine. Because it is a cloud, we can run any trillions of projects at the same time. Still running. When you compare the total time taken with single test case, it may be slightly more than single one because it's switching between the test cases, but it is faster than normal machine because it's a cloud, it is scalable and better performance. And again, we don't have to worry about the performance because the cloud vendor, they have to worry about the performance. In Selenium, Testenium covers 100% functionalities. Whatever the functions available in Selenium, which is an open source tool, so Testenium covers the entire 100% functionalities of Selenium. I think I covered the most innovative part, encryption and testing, where we generate the code, the testing generate the code. And the other options, one of the option is BDD, which also generate code for given test parameters for the requirements. And apart from these 3, then the other options are just to execute a test without creating codes. So I'm not going to go through all of them. So we've seen two major parts of the Testenium: creating the code with encryption and creating the code for test automation. Okay. So I think I will stop at this stage. Any questions? Any questions?
Yes, I wondered if, I mean, in all applications of this sort, there is always a problem about the quality and the format of the data that is used. Is there any particular requirement about the data that is going to be used in the way it needs to be prepared, the format?
The format of which is called actually, in terms of testing, we call test plan, where we prepare the data or the relevant parameters and put it into Excel normally.
Okay.
Yeah, the test engineers, they prepare that, or the test analysts, they prepare that.
Okay.
So the same way we have in Excel here.
Okay, so Excel.
Almost same.
Yeah.
And in the industry, there's no meta-programming languages to generate the code. So whenever we prepare the data in Excel, we can upload that. But if you don't have a computer, you can't upload Excel. So that's why Testenium provides a programming language called Tamil, where we put the parameters in a language code. So there's no standard in the industry for meta-programming language. So this is my standard, or our standard, Testenium standard.
Okay.
So we defined it, and I copyrighted that, and we also patented it, or we have made an application for patenting it. So that's the standard we have to follow.
Okay.
So whoever wants to use Testenium has to follow that standard.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the format.
Yep.
And some test engineers may use Word documents to type the data and keep it. So what they normally do, they refer that document and write the code. Based on the information available on the document, they write the code. So we are providing that document by Excel or Tamil language.
Okay.
Then we generate the code based on that.
May I ask more questions, or just
No. I allow many questions.
Is there any type of exclusion, anything that this platform cannot
do?
Any kind of test, any kind of
Depends on the situation. Like testing, at the moment I can say it covers 90% coverage in testing at the moment. But adding the rest 10% is not a problem for us. We can do that, and we are going to do that.
Right.
And in terms of code generation for the encryption option, the code generated for database, searchable database encrypted. So in that we can say on the interfacing side, user interface side, you can modify as you want. But here we are providing one particular format.
Yeah.
So the one I showed you is not the final version. This is a demo version. But when we release by next week for the sales, they are going to have the full-fledged screen, which also can be modified by the users.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So in terms of database application, this can handle 100%. That means the CRUD architecture, CRUD architecture, this can handle 100%. Apart from that, if they want to have different types of application, database with some other options, that can be anything. So we don't handle that part.
Mm-hmm.
But if some customers need that to be added, we can add that, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
So in fact, we customize as per the requirement of the customer. We can do that. At the moment, which I shown is just for the database application. Encrypt the data on the database and process it, that's it.
Yeah. So in the end, what kind of percentage is it off-the-shelf installation and assembly and training, and what proportion would be customization to a customer environment? In other words, if someone is to buy this tomorrow, what is the proportion of the two?
Okay. In the industry, database applications is the majority. Okay, everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Like if you talk about auto-teller machine is a machinery embedded programming. Okay, we are not dealing on that side. And on IoT, Internet of Thinking, there are so many different small applications like that.
Yeah.
So we are not dealing with that.
Yeah.
So we are mainly focusing on the database applications. So I would say 60% or more of the industry application is based on databases.
Yeah.
So we can handle that straight away without any addition.
Yeah.
And if they want extra, we can customize, add that and do it. Yeah.
How economic it is? Like, is it?
Okay, that's the final one I want to say after questions. Like, in the industry, 40% of the IT budget is going to testing. Testing, they are spending $1.7 trillion per year. As per some statistics we have some documents in Word document, I can show that later if you want to. So if 1.7 trillion is the 40% of the IT budget, and the rest 60%, majority goes to software development for writing it. I can say another 35-40%. So another 1.7 trillion going to for the development, for writing the code. So out of that 1.7 trillion, I would say Testenium can cover 60% of that, because the database applications are almost 60%. So in total, we can say 2 trillion for testing and development. And on the other hand, even if they are spending 1.7 trillion for software development, they are developing unsafe code applications.
Yeah.
They are not developing searchable encrypted applications. So the whole 1.7 trillion they spend already has to be done again by embedding the encryption part.
Yeah.
But if they are redoing it, they have to sit and write the code. So Testenium can save that 1.7 trillion.
Good. No.
Simply. And how much time we are spending here? Nothing. Almost 1 or 2 milliseconds. If they are sitting and writing ages, like big projects takes 1 year, 2 years.
Yeah.
So here, if it's a very big project, we can say within an hour, we can generate all the code.
Aros, I've heard you say this before, but if somebody came along here and said, well, you talked about Google and Microsoft and Amazon and all the rest of them.
Yes.
Why are you able to do this, but nobody else?
Although I have 60 years of my age, I may say I have 70 years of experience in IT.
How much?
70 years of experience in my IT. Like, why I'm saying that, if someone is 40-year-old age, if they are working 8 hours, yeah, then we can say 40 years, 8 hours. I'm working 15 or more than 15 hours a day, every day. So in that basis, I can say I have 70 years of experience, although I am 60 years old age.
I mean, to add to what Dr. Arasna just mentioned, I mean, I have teams, we do software testing at the end of the programs, and most of the money goes into the testing.
Yeah. Testing
So that's where the money goes.
Yeah.
If some company want to develop like Testenium, they need a lot of different programmers with different skills, and they plan and do take some time. And also, I doubt even if they find thousand programmers, I doubt whether they can handle the one I done it. I don't think they can handle. I have experience in not only in programming, I have experience in testing, I have experience in databases, and so on. I have created 517 courses in my IT institution during the last 25 years. Most innovative courses, they have been receiving recognition from various bodies previously. One from Evening Standard when I started e-commerce course back in year 2098, Evening Standard published an article saying that this is the most innovative course in the world, or UK or something like that. Like that, I have created 70 customized courses, my own courses for the industry. I think CK will know that, he's sitting there. So he went to one of the conferences in UK where they mentioned our college name, isn't it? Like that, you know. So we were one of the top IT institutions in the UK, and we were running various programs in IT as well as in business studies and so on. And BCS, British Computer Society, invited us to be in the board of BCS. We were there in 2007 and 2008. And we were contracted by Ministry of Defense for training Prime Minister's messaging group. 48 people, we did that. And I trained myself, Prime Minister's e-commerce manager, Privy Council's e-commerce manager, and Home Office insight manager, and various Financial Conduct Authority, the whole data team, I trained them, and Ordnance Survey, the whole team, I trained in test automation, and various universities, I trained them. In total, I can say all the government departments, I trained them in various IT topics. So I don't think anybody has the expertise I have in various IT sector. I can guarantee Testenium is going to be unique in the world for some time, and Tamil language is going to lead in the meta programming to control all the other programming languages in creating programming code.
With the reference of Alan's question, how Google and Microsoft and Amazon, they are not, how much you are sure and currently that they are not having this type of data security system, and you are coming up with that?
No, data security system is different from like creating the code with encryption. Like they have data security system. I'll talk about that. So there are a lot of companies, they use the traditional encryption scheme to protect the data, to keep the data. But whenever they want to process the data, that has to be decrypted. That needs some resources as well as it is risky. While the data is decrypted and processed, hackers can hack it.
So you mean to say that Google, ITNs and all,
they may have it, but they are not generating the code for the development of the application.
They can not have this idea, like.
No, they may have the idea, but they have to implement it. Without like I launched Testenium, the first very but prototype version in 2014 November. Then Evening Standard invited me to publish this and demonstrate it in May 2015. I did that. I can show you that photograph. Now, since that time, the industry knows about Testenium and the concept which we have, generating code for Selenium test automation and so on. So why nobody done it yet? There are some tools to record and export the code. See, I don't want to mention the tool, it's a bit tricky. There are some tools where you can record and then generate the code. That is not a proper way of doing it. I will explain why. Now, while I'm explaining this, if someone is watching, if they are test engineers, they are changing their style. What they are doing, whether any website has wrong elements or correct elements, they are recording that and exporting that code to other programming language like Java or something like that. When they do that, the wrong element is going into the code. When they are testing it, that will pass. If the test analyst or the manager or director who gave a keyword XYZ to put it in the code, if the test engineer or the developer made a mistake, instead of XYZ, he put ABC. Okay? So if that is the case, if they are testing it, if they don't see X by Z, right, it will fail, and they will know they have to put X by Z instead of ABC. If you are recording it ABC and running it, it will pass, it won't fail. So the whole industry in testing, they are following the wrong practice. They are all wasting the time. They are all wasting the time. They are doing the job with some faulty inside. I think Alex will agree with that.
I do.
He's a test engineer. So they are like the big giants. They are publishing something with some rubbish inside. Some rubbish inside. This is one example. I don't want to mention the name. I already have it here in my screen. I don't want to mention the name. So a lot of people are following that. I talked to many. I trained more than 12, not 12. In total, I trained more than 16,000 people, myself as well as with my team. But in testing, since 2009, I've been training lots and lots of test engineers. I have 3,000 test engineers in my LinkedIn connection, followers, okay? So most of them, I talk to them, they are doing the same thing. They are recording it and creating the code and testing with the wrong element. It passed. So what's the purpose of doing that?
Yeah.
They're testing the time.
What about the commercial environment, like with TravelX at the moment?
Commercial environment.
Yeah, TravelX, we know recently they've been hijacked.
Exactly. We were talking earlier with Alan Jones. What are the other ones? Airbus, TravelX, Labour Party. Like that, so many. Even last few days in America, a lot of banks were closed because of this, okay? So, if they have the plain data in the database, okay, and if they have a virtual private network layer, which is an encrypted network, which is using 256-bit encryption, that is easily breakable. They haven't improved the encrypted network yet. They haven't done that. So whether a small company or big company, they are using the same virtual private network with 256-bit encryption. Okay? So that is easily breakable. The Airbus was hacked by breaking that virtual private network, which has 256-bit encryption. And they get into that database where they see in the plain text of the customer's data. They took all the data gone.
So in short, what they are doing is just like a house. You put a wall around your house, and people can still jump into the house and take your property.
Yeah.
So what is
Now, there's no point of having that encrypted network. You don't have to do that. You can just leave the network out, use searchable encryption. That's it.
So how does searchable encryption protect you in that environment if your code can also be decoded?
No, the searchable encryption is to protect the data, not the code. So even if they come to your database where you have encrypted data, they can get the data, but they can't use the data. They won't be able to see any plain text. It's encrypted. And we are using 2048-bit encryption here, using searchable encryption here.
So is it the size of your encoding
Yes.
that makes it impossible to crack?
It's impossible to crack. Up to 1024-bit encryption, you may be able to crack it. But we are using 2048-bit encryption. Nobody can crack it in the world.
And on top of that,
If anybody is there, they can challenge me.
What if the processor speed increases
Speed.
too much?
Speed, I mentioned earlier, the first time when you do it, it will be a bit slow. But speed is nothing when you compare to your trillions of loss.
Outcome.
We can bear the speed like a bit slow, doesn't matter. But you are saving your whole data.
Now I was talking about the speed of the let's say, criminal's processor to match your coding capacity to defeat the time it takes to decode it. You understand what I mean?
Sorry, like here we are generating the code. So in order to develop the code, we don't need time. You see, it created the code within few milliseconds. If you want to write the code, if you want to write this same code, first you need to have the expertise how to use homomorphic encryption for the searchable. If you know that, then you can implement it. But in order to implement the whole code, you need to spend years or months.
And the data is encrypted at rest.
It's encrypted,
It's
all
encrypted
the
at
time.
rest.
You work with it.
And if you apply the decryption program on
No, the fact is it's like a trap that there is a barrier. It doesn't matter how the kind of speed that you run. As soon as you get there, you have to stop. Are you getting what time? That is what encryption means, which means that you cannot break a barrier.
we've seen so many encryption systems being
No, but this one has been programmed in such a way that you cannot.
I think
just break
we will talk after this. We'll talk. I'll talk to you. Any other question? Okay, we finished. Thank you for your attendance. Double click the video link. Now it's going to show you the about us. Yeah, I made it a bit faster here. I can control the speed. I can make slow and so on. And also the screenshots. If there's any error, it will show the error here so that you can click that link to see what the error is. So that is the Selenium testing. I will show you the multiple test cases. Suppose you want to run 2 or 3 test cases in parallel. We'll click them and then click the AMPT button, Accelerated Massive Parallel Testing. Now the platform is going to launch 3 test cases in parallel. Yeah, now 3 test cases are running. You can see in the bottom, 3 Chrome windows are running. So if I click the AMPT button without ticking those boxes, it will run all the 2032 projects at the same time. So we have a scalable machine because it is a cloud. We can run any trillions of projects at the same time. Still running. When you compare the total time taken with single test case, it may be slightly more than single one because it's switching between the test cases, but it is faster than normal machine because it's cloud, it's scalable and better performance. And again, we don't have to worry about the performance because the cloud vendor, they have to worry about the performance. In Selenium, Testenium covers 100% functionalities. Whatever the functions available in Selenium, which is an open source tool, so Testenium covers the entire 100% functionalities of Selenium. I think I covered the most innovative part, the encryption and testing, where we generate the code, the testing generate the code. And the other options, one of the option is BDD, which also generate code for given test parameters for the requirements. And apart from these three, then the other options are just to execute and test without creating codes. So I'm not going to go through all of them. So we've seen two major parts of the Testenium: creating the code with encryption and creating the code for test automation. Okay. So I think I will stop at this stage. Any questions? Any questions?
Yes, I wondered if, in all applications of this sort, there is a problem about the quality and the format of the data that is used. Is there any particular requirement about the data that is going to be used in the way it needs to be prepared, the format?
The format of, which is called actually, in terms of testing, we call test plan, where we prepare the data or the relevant parameters and put it into Excel normally.
Okay.
So yeah, the test engineers, they prepare that, or the test analysts, they prepare that.
Okay.
So the same way we have in Excel here.
Okay. So it's
almost the same.
Yeah.
And in the industry, there's no meta-programming languages to generate the code. So whenever we prepare the data in Excel, we can upload that. But if you don't have a computer, you can't upload Excel. So that's why Testenium provides a programming language called Tamil, where we put the parameters in a language code. So there's no standard in the industry for meta-programming language. So this is my standard, or our standard, Testenium standard.
Okay.
So we defined it, and I copyrighted that, and we also patented it, or we have made an application for patenting it. So that's the standard we have to follow.
Okay.
So whoever going to use Testenium has to follow the standard.
Okay.
That's cool. And some test engineers may use Word documents to type the data and keep it. So what they normally do, they refer that document and write the code. Based on the information available on the document, they write the code. So we are providing that document by Excel or Tamil language.
Okay.
Then we generate the code based on that.
May I ask more questions, or just
No, I allow any questions.
Is there any type of exclusion, anything that this platform cannot
do?
Any kind of test, any kind of
depends on the situation. Like testing, at the moment, I can say it covers 90% coverage in testing at the moment. But adding the rest 10% is not a problem for us. We can do that, and we are going to do that.
Right.
And in terms of code generation for the encryption option, the code generated for database, searchable database encryption. So in that, we can say on the interfacing side, user interface side, you can modify as you want. But here we are providing one particular format. Yeah. So the one I shown you is not the final version. This is a demo version. But when we release by next week for the sales, we are going to have the full-fledged screen, which also can be modified by the users. Mm-hmm. So In terms of database application, this can handle 100%. That means the CRUD architecture, CRUD architecture, this can handle 100%. Apart from that, if they want to have a different types of application, database with some other options, that can be anything. So we don't handle that part. But if some customers need that to be added, we can add that, no problem. So in fact, we customize as per the requirement of the customer. We can do that. At the moment, which I shown is just for the database application. Encrypt the data on the database and process it. That's it.
So in the end, what kind of percentage is it off-the-shelf installation and assembly and training, and what portion would be customization to a customer environment? In other words, if someone is to buy this tomorrow, what is the proportion of the two?
Okay. In the industry, database applications is the majority. Okay, everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Like if you talk about auto-teller machine is a machinery embedded programming. Okay, we are not dealing on that side. And on IoT, Internet of Thinking, there are so many different small applications like that. Yeah. So we are not dealing with that. Yeah. So we are mainly focusing on the database applications. Yeah. So I would say 60% or more of the industry application is based on databases. Yeah. So we can handle that straight away without any addition. Yeah. And if they want extra, we can customize, add that and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How economic it is? Like, is it?
Okay, that's the final one I wanted to say after questions. Like, in the industry, 40% of the IT budget is going to testing. Testing, they are spending $1.7 trillion per year. As per some statistics, we have some documents in Word document. I can show that later if you want it. So if 1.7 trillion is the 40% of the IT budget, and the rest 60%, majority goes to software development for writing it. I can say another 35-40%. So another 1.7 trillion going for the development, for writing the code. So out of that 1.7 trillion, I would say Testenium can cover 60% of that, because the database applications are almost 60%. So in total, we can say 2 trillion for testing and development. And on the other hand, even if they are spending 1.7 trillion for software development, they are developing unsecured applications. They are not developing searchable encrypted applications. So the whole 1.7 trillion they spend already has to be done again by embedding the encryption part. But if they are redoing it, they are to sit and write the code. So Testenium can save that 1.7 trillion. Simply. And how much time we are spending here? Nothing. Almost 1 or 2 milliseconds. If they are sitting and writing ages, like big projects takes 1 year, 2 years. Yeah. So here, if it's a very big project, we can say within an hour, we can generate all the code.
Now, sometimes you say this before, but if somebody came along here and said, well, you talked about Google and Microsoft and Amazon and all the rest of them.
Yes.
Why are you able to do this, but nobody else?
Although I have 60 years of my age, I may say I have 70 years of experience in IT.
How much?
70 years of experience in my IT. Like, why I'm saying that, if someone is 40-year-old age, if they are working 8 hours, yeah, then we can say 40 years, 8 hours. I'm working 15 or more than 15 hours a day, every day. So in that basis, I can say I have 70 years of experience, although I am 60 years old. Okay.
To add to what Dr. Araf just mentioned, I mean, I have teams we do software testing at the end of programs, and most of the money goes into the testing.
Yeah.
So that's where the money goes.
Yeah.
If some company want to develop like Testenium, they need a lot of different programmers with different skills, and they plan and do take some time. And also, I doubt even if they find thousand programmers, I doubt whether they can handle the one I done it. I don't think they can handle. I have experience in not only in programming. I have experience in testing. I have experience in databases and so on. I have created 517 courses in my IT institution during the last 25 years. Most innovative courses, they have been receiving recognition from various bodies previously. One from Evening Standard, when they started e-commerce course back in year 2098. Evening Standard published an article saying that this is the most innovative course in the world, or UK, or something like that. Like that, I have created 70 customized courses, my own courses for the industry. I think CK will know that, he's sitting there. So he went to one of the conferences in UK where they mentioned our college name, isn't it? Like that, you know. So we were one of the top IT institutions in the UK, and we were running various programs in IT as well as in business studies and so on. And BCS, British Computer Society, invited us to be in the board of BCS. We were there in 2007 and 2008. And we were contracted by Ministry of Defense for training Prime Minister's messaging group. 48 people, we did that. And I trained myself, Prime Minister's e-commerce manager, Privy Council's e-commerce manager, and Home Office Insight manager, and various Financial Conduct Authority, the whole data team, I trained them. And Ordnance Survey, the whole team, I trained in test automation. And various universities, I trained them. In total, I can say all the government departments, I trained them in various IT topics. So I don't think anybody has the expertise I have in various IT sector. I can guarantee Testenium is going to be unique in the world for some time, and Tamil language is going to lead in the meta programming to control all the other programming languages in creating programming code.
With the reference of Ellen's question, how Google and Microsoft and Amazon, they are not, how much you are sure and current with that, they are not having this type of data security system, and you are coming up with that?
No, data security system is different from like creating the code with it. Like they have data security system. I'll talk about that. So a lot of companies, they use the traditional encryption scheme to protect the data, to keep the data. But whenever they want to process the data, that has to be decrypted. That needs some resources, as well as it is risky. While the data is decrypted and processed, hackers can hack it.
So you mean to say that Google, ITNs and all,
they may have it, but they are not generating the code for the development of the application.
they can not have this idea, like.
No, they may have the idea, but they have to implement it. Without implement, like I launched Testenium, the first very but prototype version in 2014 November. Then Evening Standard invited me to publish this and demonstrate it in May 2015. I did that. I can show you that photograph. Now, since that time, the industry knows about Testenium and the concept which we have, generating code for Selenium test automation and so on.
So why nobody done it yet? There are some tools to record and export the code. See, I don't want to mention the tool, it's a bit tricky. There are some tools where you can record and then generate the code. That is not a proper way of doing it. I'll explain why. Now, while I'm explaining this, if someone is watching, if they are test engineers, they have to change their style. What they are doing, whether any website has wrong elements or correct elements, they are recording that and exporting that code to other programming language like Java or something like that. When they do that, the wrong element is going into the code. When they're testing it, that will pass. If the test analyst or the manager or director who gave a keyword XYZ to put it in the code, if the test engineer or the developer made a mistake, instead of XYZ, he put ABC. Okay? So if that is the case, if they are testing it, if they don't see XYZ, right, it will fail and they will know they have to put XYZ instead of ABC. If you're recording it, you are recording it ABC and running it, it will pass. It won't fail. So the whole industry in testing, they are following the wrong practice. They are all wasting the time. They are all wasting the time. They are doing the job with some fault inside. I think Alex will agree with that.
I do.
He's a test engineer. So they are like the big giants. They are publishing something with some rubbish inside. Some rubbish inside. This is one example. I don't want to mention the name. I already have it here in my screen. I don't want to mention the name. So a lot of people are following that. I talked to many. I trained more than 12, not 12. In total, I trained more than 16,000 people, myself as well as with my team. But in testing, since 2009, I've been training lots and lots of test engineers. I have 3,000 test engineers in my LinkedIn connection followers. Okay, so most of them, I talk to them. They are doing the same thing. They are recording it and creating the code and testing with the wrong element. It passed. So what's the purpose of doing that?
Yeah.
They're testing the time.
What about the commercial environment, like the travel at the moment?
Commercial environment.
Yeah, travel as you know, recently they've been hijacked.
Exactly. We were talking earlier with Alan Jones. What are the other ones? Airbus, TravelX, Labour Party, like that, so many. Even last few days in America, a lot of banks were closed because of this, okay? So if they have the plain data in the database, okay, and if they have a virtual private network layer, which is an encrypted network, which is using 256-bit encryption. That is easily breakable. They haven't improved the encrypted network yet. They haven't done that. So whether a small company or big company, they are using the same virtual private network with 256-bit encryption. Okay, so that is easily breakable. The Airbus was hacked by breaking that virtual private network, which has 256-bit encryption, and they get into that database where they see in the plain text of the customer's data. They took all the data gone.
In short, what they are doing is just like a house. You put a wall around your house, and people can still jump into the house and take property. What is
now? There's no point of having that encrypted network. You don't have to do that. You can just leave the network out. Use searchable encryption. That's it.
So how does searchable encryption protecting the environment if your code can also be decoded?
No, the searchable encryption is to protect the data, not the code. So even if they come to your database where you have encrypted data, they can get the data, but they can't use the data. They won't be able to see any plain text. It's encrypted. And we are using 2048-bit encryption here, using searchable encryption here.
The size of your encoding
Yes,
makes it impossible to crack.
it's impossible to crack. Up to 1024-bit encryption, you may be able to crack it. But we are using 2048-bit encryption. Nobody can crack it in the world.
And on top of that,
If anybody is there, they can challenge.
What is the processor speed? Increase
Speed.
too much.
Speed, I mentioned earlier, the first time when you do it, it will be a bit slow. But speed is nothing when you compare to your trillions of loss. We can bear the speed like a bit slow, doesn't matter. But you are saving your whole data.
I was talking about the speed of the, let's say, criminal's processor to match your coding capacity to defeat the time it takes to decode. Understand what I mean?
Sorry, like here we are generating the code. So in order to develop the code, we don't need time. You seen it created the code within few milliseconds. If you want to write the code, say if you want to write this same code, first you need to have the expertise how to use homomorphic encryption for the searchable. If you know that, then you can implement it. But in order to implement the whole code, you need to spend years or months.
and the data is encrypted at rest.
It's encrypted
encrypted at rest.
And if you apply a decryption program on
No, the fact is like a trap that is a barrier. It doesn't matter how the kind of speed that you have. As soon as you get a rapid score, are you going to find that is what encryption is. Which means that you cannot break the barrier. No, but this one can be programmed in such a way that you cannot.
I think we will talk after this. We'll talk. Any other question? Okay, we finished. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Testenium saves a lot of time and money for companies. The world spends more than $50 billion per year for testing. The test engineers sit and write long codes and need to have all the tools installed on their computer. However, Testenium saves all the trouble. It provides all the tools required, making it much more efficient.